In this video, I'm going to cover another ambush formation or technique. I got this from TC 31-29 Special Forces Operational Techniques from the 1988 version. I've talked about this particular manual in the past and recommended it. I still do recommend it if you're any type of leader, especially some type of platoon commander and above. Get a copy of it, a paper copy, have it with you in the field. There's a lot of good information in here. Now, this particular ambush we're going to talk about is a closed triangular ambush. This is essentially a small unit strong point. This is meant for employment at night in large open areas, such as rice paddies and grassy fields. This apparently was a tactic that was employed with a lot of success in Vietnam. I will read you part of the section here, and then we'll go over it. It is used to interdict night movement through rice paddies and other open areas when the target approach is likely to be from any direction. The formation provides all-around security, and security parties are deployed only when they can be positioned so that if detected by an approaching target, they will not compromise the ambush. Attack is by fires only, so no mines, no IEDs, or at least that was what they did in Vietnam. And the target is allowed to approach within close range before you open fire. Advantages include ease of control and all-around security. In addition, a target approaching from any direction can be brought under fire of at least 2 automatic weapons. There are several disadvantages. For example, an ambush patrol of platoon size or larger is required to reduce the danger of being overrun by an unexpectedly large target. One or more legs of the target may come under enfilading fire. Also, lack of dispersion, particularly at the points, increases the danger of enemy indirect fires. So what we have here is at least a platoon size formation because we're covering large open areas. You want to think of what type of area this would cover, the type of terrain. Think of the very central part of the U.S. Say Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, east of the Rockies, where it's just huge grassy open plains. These are areas where putting in ambushes are going to be kind of tough, and the enemy can come in from any direction. Most of the standard ambush tactics that are taught and practiced, you are practicing to ambush an enemy coming along a set route. This you're putting in the middle of a field, setting yourself in, camouflaging yourself as best as you possibly can, and the enemy can come in from any direction. You're not exactly sure which direction they're going to come from and how far away from you they may be when they move through that area. So we have our platoon here. A squad at least on each leg. That's what the blue is here. The riflemen are set in so that they have interlocking fire with each other. And their general sectors are like so. Anything that's within that sector is their responsibility. Machine guns along the lines of your 240s, your PKMs, potentially your saws, your squad automatic weapons, your RPKs are located at the corners. Now, the primary fields of fire for the machine guns that are on automatic weapons that are on a corner is essentially a 90-degree arc. But they have a secondary field of fire, which is almost right down the front of the squad to either side. In the center of the perimeter here is where your platoon leader would be located at, along with your casualty collection point. And if you have any types of mortars, I would recommend no larger than 60 millimeter because they'd be easier to conceal. They would be located in the center here also to provide either illumination or indirect fire. If you would employ any types of mines as part of this ambush to cover dead space, it should be a claymore type mine. Grenadiers would be spread out in amongst the squad wherever it's most needed. If you got a low area to the front of this squad down here, you're going to want to have your grenadier in a spot where he can put rounds right into that low area easily. So, enemy comes from this direction. Or let's say they're traveling this direction. They're going to be going parallel. Depending on how far out, whoever's in charge of this ambush will give the order to the squad on that side to open fire. They can pass the word verbally in whispers, pass it over field phones. If you do it over radios, use short, quiet bursts. Code words and so forth, or code phrases is probably the best option. Have your radio set to the lowest setting possible so that you're not transmitting, halfway across the country. Then you would notify the machine guns on these ends that they're going to be involved also. When the enemy would get to the point where it's most advantageous for them to engage them, that's when they will open up. If they're traveling like this machine gun would sweep from this direction going to the back. This machine gun would go from the back to the front. And then somewhere out in here is where the fire from both those machine guns would converge. The riflemen have their sectors of fire covering the entire flank. Now, the enemy that's over here, when they're returning fire, these elements over here have the danger that they could have rounds coming at them from behind. That is one of the disadvantages of this formation. But this is a formation you can use in wide open areas. Vary it according to the area you're in, according to your capabilities and your enemy's capabilities. Depending on how large of an area you're going to cover, you might not want to engage at any targets that are more than, say, maybe 100, maybe 200 meters away from you. If you put this in as kind of a defensive line, say the entire company is out there, they're going to have some pretty good spacing between each element so that this platoon wouldn't accidentally pour fire into the platoon next to it. But this also would work as a unit strong point for at nighttime when you need to rack down and get some rest. Or for guerrilla to rack down during the daytime and get some rest before they continue their movements at night. Remember, camouflage is a high priority on this one. If you do any type of fighting position in this, it's going to be a scrape, it's going to be a hasty, and you must camouflage it extremely well. Remember to camouflage your spoil. This is an interesting technique, and I really would like to give it a shot someday if I had enough people for practicing. But it takes about a platoon's worth of people. Figure a platoon, a squad of at least 9 personnel, minimum. Now, for all my engineer brothers and Patriot militia movements, always remember, essayons.